And we're back, guys. The Queen Serena takes shots. That's right, guys. Jannik Sinner. Serena would say, if that was me, they would have gave me 20 years and taken all of my slams. Whoa! Shots fired. In case you're not familiar, listen, Jannik Sinner tested positive for the anabolic steroid clostebol or clostebol, depending on where you're from. That pronunciation can differ. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, only given 3 months, unreal. That's right, guys. The ITIA, that's correct. The same association that determined that Iga Swiatek was not at fault for her failed drug test would consider the same with Jannik Sinner, the world's #1. That's right, guys. He was given a 3-month suspension from February 9th, and that will end May 4th, which means he'll be able to play the world's #1 in the French Open. Unbelievable. Now, he tested positive for the banned substance last year, 2024, but the ITIA said, listen, it wasn't his fault. Now, we all know Sinner got rid of his trainer that was responsible for that. And according to Sinner and the ITIA, it was a cross-contamination which occurred through an injury and the result of some type of spray that was administered to Jannik for medical purposes. What do you guys think? We're going to talk about Serena and her thoughts. As always, this video is brought to you via the Doctrine of Fair Use, the Fair Dealing, and the Digital Millennium Act. Sinner's 23 years old. He's the world's ranked #1, coming off of a 78-6 win season. Unreal, ladies and gentlemen. In the 23 season, we saw him win 64 matches, and things really kind of started to heat up for him around the 22 season, where we saw him win 47 matches. And when he started to defeat Carlos Alcaraz, I told you guys early on, listen, guys, he is going to give Carlos fits for the next decade. And sure enough, right around that 23 season, we saw Sinner rev things up. He won 4 titles: Montpellier, Toronto, Beijing, and Vienna. But then he would top things off in 24, winning the US Open, right? He'd win the Australian Open, getting his first slam of the year to start the season. Then he would end the season winning the Masters Cup. Unreal. 2 slams on the year, and then he would, before getting suspended, win the Australian Open and defend that title. Sinner's got 3 slams, ladies and gentlemen. On the main tour, he's been dominating the last couple seasons, 20 titles overall. But listen, guys, a lot of people think of Sinner as just an amazing clay player, right? He's got nearly 100 wins on clay. But having won the Australian Open twice and the US Open, people forget he's an amazing hard court player, even though he's from Italy. Guys, I think Sinner's the real deal. I talked about he's got a long wingspan. I think he closes out well. His forehand's amazing. Long, wide serve. He can mix it up. And that's what gives Carlos Alcaraz problems. Carlos is by far the most athletic player on tour. But Sinner, his long reach, his wingspan, his long legs, he can close out well. And for the speed advantage that Alcaraz has, Sinner makes up for it with his length. That's right, guys. And I just think he can hit all spots on the court. Very good player. Now, in terms of the suspension from the ITIA, my personal thoughts, it's possible. I don't know. I wasn't there. And again, look, to have a solid, firm opinion on something you can't prove to be fact or false, I think would be foolish. So to give you my thoughts on the situation, and again, this is pure speculation, allegedly. Listen, I'm going to be upfront with you guys. I don't know if I believe the story. I don't know if I buy this story. But I think the bigger issue, and again, I'm going to switch gears here as we're going to get ready to discuss Serena's perspective. I think the bigger issue is what Novak addressed to the media. The issue is the treatment of different players by the ITIA. Iga Swiatek was literally suspended. She was allowed to resume play and finish her suspension. That's crazy. Like, when have you heard that ever take place? Now, Jannik, there's no issue of him testing positive for the steroid. There's no issue. The issue is how it got in his system. So the ITIA is suggesting it wasn't his fault. It was cross-contamination, negligence from his staff member, his physio. Okay, it's possible, but he did test positive. And to give him 3 months, I think there's double standards here at play. I mean, Queen Serena said it best, especially as an African American. Listen, guys, let's just be honest. And if you live under a rock, then maybe you don't know. But as an African American, you normally have to work twice as hard to get to that success. So when you see an African American doing well, just know and just think, keep in the back of your mind all of the things they've had to go through, endure, discrimination, all of this stuff happens. And not that it just happens to African Americans, but the chances are, if you look at these statistics, it's likely more to happen to African Americans than other races. And there is a double standard. If Serena tested positive for steroids, listen, it would have been the end of her career. No, this is why players like Coco Gauff and these amazing classy players, Naomi Osaka, Venus Williams, that have handled themselves with grace and class and dignity, you have to give it up to them because they are battling a lot. They're dealing with a lot of adversity, a lot of hate, a lot of discrimination, a lot of things that just aren't fair. And to me, to get 3 months, there's no issue of him testing positive. We know he tested positive for it. So whether it really comes down to whether or not you believe the story or not, but to give him 3 months, I just think it's the ITIA protecting the game, protecting the sponsors' endorsements, and just not letting a black eye stain the game here. Because Jannik, listen guys, #1 in the world. We saw him literally rev it up the last few years. He's got 20 titles, 3 Grand Slams. Now, I admire his game. I think he's great. I love his wingspan, his reach. He closes out well. He's got a lot of power. He's very athletic. But I didn't see him dominating like this. I thought Carlos Alcaraz, and look, listen, I think they're about neck and neck, but the way he's given Carlos a run for the money lately, I don't know if I believe this story. I really don't. Now, Jannik did fire the team member responsible for the mistake allegedly, but the reality here is I think the ITIA has got to be a little bit more consistent with what they're doing with these suspensions. Let's switch gears to Serena Williams, guys. Now, if you haven't heard, she said straight up, if this were me, I would have been suspended for 20 years. It's unreal, and I do believe that. I do believe that with Serena Williams, but I mean, if we take a look at the WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, they want it longer. That's right, guys. So they filed an appeal to essentially have that suspension increase. I think 3 months is a joke. Let's just be honest. Sinner's going to be back in time and home for cornflakes to play the French Open. That's just completely ridiculous in my opinion. I think Iga's suspension was ridiculous. Now, in terms of the 2 cases, again, I think Simona Halep put it best. Each case is different. Each circumstance should be different. And Iga Swiatek, I mean, she had a lot to say to Simona Halep as well, but I do think the differences of the 2 cases, for example, Iga's case, if you have doubt of any of the 2 stories or situations, I think Iga's case is probably a lot easier to believe. However, they are 2 different cases, and to have 2 such short suspensions, I think is completely ridiculous. I think Sinner, his case, it's a lot more black and white. You know, someone in his camp administered this. He's responsible for his camp. I think 3 months is a joke, guys. So again, Serena Williams, she feels, look, she would have had her title stripped. She would have been suspended for at least 20 years. What do you guys think? I want your opinion. Comment below. Do you agree with Serena? But I want to switch gears, guys, because Martina Navratilova, she's making headlines again. She always is. For stating, look, she feels she's the greatest of all time. Listen, arguably, possibly so. But listen, guys, she played in a different era. Let's just be honest. 59 Grand Slam titles, 18 singles, 31 doubles, and 10 mixed doubles. Amazing statistics, guys, right? She won 8 WTA finals titles. Just an amazing talent. Arguably the best grass player of all time. I think in the Open era, I would probably give that to Venus Williams. But listen, guys, Serena, also making headlines with this Sinner controversy. I thought we kind of compare these two ladies head to head. Now, I'm not going to mention Billie Jean King. I think she was a phenomenal player, but I don't have her as the greatest of all time. I think in terms of propelling the sport forward, absolutely. She is the premier name, but even from her own mouth, she said Serena was the greatest of all time. And by the way, Navratilova and Billie Jean King, they played 20 times. The head-to-head is 10-10. So take your pick. Who do you think's the greatest of them two? Billie Jean King or Navratilova? Comment below. And let's not forget, right? Billie Jean King was inspired by Althea Gibson. So another fantasy matchup that I asked you guys several years ago is who would win in a fantasy matchup, Althea Gibson or Serena Williams? Now, several experts have said Althea Gibson would win. And remember, Billie Jean King, that's how she got inspired as an 8-year-old spectator watching Althea Gibson dominate the sport. But Serena's the queen, right? From crip walking at the Super Bowl to when she won the gold medal at the 2012 Olympic Games. 23 Grand Slam titles, guys. 14 double slam titles. She's got 2 mixed double slam titles, 4 gold medals, 3 in doubles with Venus and 1 in singles, 73 singles titles, 5-time WTA Tour winner. Without a doubt, look, before Novak had his surge, I had Serena as the greatest tennis player of all time, male or female. All time. I don't care about the Open era. I'm talking about all time. I think if Serena faced Navratilova, and this is a fantasy matchup, listen guys, I think Serena would be too strong, too athletic. As Billie Jean King said, Serena's the best server in the history of tennis. Serena's also regarded as the best serve and volleyer in the history of women's tennis. Her power just unmatched, guys. How many times do I need to say it? It's just like, if they play Navratilova and Serena Williams, I think Navratilova would struggle against the return serve and the baseline power of Serena Williams. I don't think she would be able to keep up. Now, I had a quick brief discussion with one of my subscribers the other day, and he mentioned that, he thinks shot making ability goes a lot more than power in today's game. And, so to speak, not exactly in those words, but here's my thought on that. Right. And by the way, Serena beat them all, right? Just dominance. Her dominance is just unmatched, especially over the age of 30. But the reality here is, what's the difference between the players on the lower level and the main tour? Right? What's the difference? It's power, guys, right? I watch a lot of lower level tennis, especially the ITF. Guys, watch ITF tennis. These rallies are very long. We're talking about 15, 20 shot rallies nearly every single point. If you're a professional tennis player, especially on the main tour, you can make shots. The difference is power, right? That's how you make the leap from the lower level to the main tour quickly, is power. When you have the power, you have the ability to dictate pace, tempo, put your opponent on the back foot, speed them up where they make mistakes. And listen, guys, if you don't possess that natural power like a Yelena Ostapenko or Aryna Sabalenka, you're going to have to play faster. And if you're not comfortable playing faster and bigger and stronger, you will make mistakes. Serena Williams' game, she had the power, the speed, the athletic ability. She could speed you up. She can beat you at the net. Billie Jean King said she had the greatest serve. Why? Because you never knew which way she was going with it. As a defensive player, as a returner, if you get a jump on where your opponent is going with the serve, then you can put them on the back foot. As a server, it's your duty to not let your opponent read your serve. No one could ever read Serena's serve. She had the same motion, whether she's going down the tee, jamming the body out wide, the same motion. That's why she's the greatest server of all time. Very consistent, literally not even one double fault per match for most of her matches. Very consistent, very accurate, and very powerful and aggressive. And like I said, power is key. I think she would be too strong for Navratilova. I think she'd be too strong for Billie Jean King. I think Serena would dominate in her prime any of these ladies on tour. I love Coco. We love Iga. We love Sabalenka, Pegula, Polini. Kim Won-jung, all the ladies in the top 10, all the ladies on tour, we love them. But in terms of shot making ability, and this is where, again, I'm going to pivot back to what one of my subscribers said. I don't think these ladies on tour compare. We go back 15 years in terms of shot making ability. I think there were a lot better shot makers 15 years ago on tour. You saw a lot more longer rallies, the Vikas, the Caroline Wozniackis, these amazing shot makers on tour. Nowadays, Serena's changed the game. All the ladies are trying to bulk up. If you go watch any of these professional matches live, you see the guys, they're just regular, average looking, slim guys. The ladies are the ones bulking up because Serena added that power to the game, where a lot of the ladies now, they want to bulk up and add power to get an edge. Now, I love, for example, I love Jasmine Paolini. She's going to be taking on Coco tomorrow. But in terms of power, have you seen the matchups? And I covered these matches where she's faced Ludmilla. And yes, Coco has never lost to Jasmine Paolini, but take a look at the matchups where she faced Ludmilla in Melbourne, 6-2, 6-4. Or even this year at the Indian Wells, a bagel, 6-4. That's the power difference I'm talking about. When your opponent is just flat out stronger than you and they can speed you up with their power, it puts a lot of pressure on you. And I'm telling you guys, a lot of these ladies on tour, they're ripped, they're jacked. Where you take a look at the Medvedevs of the world, the Carlos Alcaraz, the Novaks, the Stefanos, look at the Gael, the Monfils. Look at all these male players. They're not muscular. They're pretty slim, right? Because in terms of power, you don't necessarily have to have these huge muscles to be able to crack the ball, with a large miles per hour gap over your opponent. It's really about technique and form, right? But in terms on the lady side, Serena's changed the game so much that a lot of them bulk up. They want to build and add that muscle. Take a look at someone like Laura Sigmund. Guys, she's got to be approaching 40. How old's Laura Sigmund at this time? Does anyone know? Comment below. Look how ripped she is for her age. Look at Beatrice Haddad. It's crazy. Look at Iga. Look at Sabalenka. Look at Yelena Ostapenko. These ladies are ripped and jacked. And then you look at Coco, who's pretty slim and athletic compared to a lot of the ladies. I mean, she might even still be growing. I noticed she might have had a growth spurt because Coco's now just about as tall as any of the ladies on tour. Of course, except for the Elena Rybakinas of the world, the Petra Kvitova of the world. But again, I think it's about power, and Serena changed the game, and I don't think Navratilova could stand a chance against Serena. She's just too strong. I don't think any of the ladies on tour could stand a chance against Serena in her prime. Let me know what you guys think. The suspension, 3 months, is that a joke or what? If that happened to Serena, would she get 3 months? Comment below. Navratilova, Serena Williams, who would win in the matchup there? Billie Jean King, Serena, who would win in a matchup there? Iga Serena, who would win that? Coco Serena. Listen, I'm not going to say Sabalenka because we saw Serena dominate Sabalenka as recently as the 22 season. So we're not going to name Sabalenka. We saw Sabalenka literally smash her racket because Serena was destroying her. A lot to discuss, guys. I'm going to wrap it up like the old days. Good energy, you talk too much. I'll see you next video, guys. Drop a heart, show some love, comment below.